Shane's Rib Shack Thursday Basketball in Focus. Talk to Coach Bill Chambers from Northern Guilford. Talking to Freddie Johnson, Greensboro Day School. Got Daryl Steele with us now, head coach at Northeast Guilford Women. Coach Steele, you've been able to turn this team around this year. We know some of the good food at Shane's. Got the hush puppies on the table, other good food in the back. You've mentioned you enjoyed Shane's in the past.
I have, yes.
We talk about their secret ingredients. Share your secret recipe, your ingredient. How'd you turn this women's team around? I know it was on its way. You didn't completely just take a team that had not won a game before, but you had pretty much resurrected this club. How'd you begin to turn this team around?
The biggest key was that the ladies, from day one, when I introduced myself to them, were all on the same page with wanting to, grow the program and keep the turnaround that was started last year by Coach Ramsey and just keep growing. I knew the biggest thing was for me to get them to kind of get to know me, coming from the guys' side of the program with them, that my expectation, were going to be a little high, but they grasped onto me, and we just, as a family, decided let's grow together, and they've really bought into what I brought from the guys' side of the program.
Talk about what you did with the men's team before you arrived with the women. I used to see on the sideline with the men, you'd always be hustling, always moving, always staying active, getting involved with those guys. You're almost like a basketball operations man. You did a little bit of everything when you were over there.
Yeah.
And talk about what you did with the men and how you better bring some of that same enthusiasm and energy to the women's side of things.
I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed thoroughly watching the ladies grow over the past, 8 years that I was there at Northeast. I kind of grew up under Curtis Hunter. He kind of taught me about learning about a system and running a certain system. I coached JB for 8 years, and I was assistant with him for most of those years whenever we were able to sit on the bench together. And my focus that I learned from him is never worry about what everyone else on the floor does, just worry about your team doing what you ask them to do, and that's all you can control from game in and game out.
I'm not sure if there's any karma to this stuff. It just made me think about the fact the women's team doing pretty well this year since you took over, and since you've left the men's program, the men's team has slipped down a little bit this year. Yeah,
it's a growth cycle for everything. Curtis and I, we were together. We had one other season the same way, and the program, we just grew it back up, because you always had those lapses in talent where your talent is real young. And the thing about this men's team this year is that they're extremely young. Most of the key players are sophomores on the team, so I know Curtis, and he's raised me and mentored me well. I know the program's gonna turn around again and come right back to the level that we used to being at.
What did you find when you took over the women's team this year? What did you find amongst this team? I know you mentioned Coach Ramsey. She was in charge for a couple of years, and she was very patient with that team. Had to be, because she had to bring them a long way when she took over, and she was gradually bringing this same back. Hadn't quite got there yet. You start to see some glimmers of hope, glimmers of light. What did you find when you took this team over this year?
The first thing I found was a group of seniors that were hungry, wanting success, and they just wanted to grab onto anything, willing to run through a wall for me.
They were ready.
Yeah, we're ready. They were really ready.
Young coach, first head coaching job on the varsity level?
Yes.
Wow, that's a good thing.
And the seniors, like I said, the seniors were ready to go. I had a couple of seniors that had not played in a couple of years that decided to come back to the program. And then, you get lucky, you have a freshman like Michelle Jeffries come in, and you say, it's not a bad way to step into a program, and be blessed that way.
You got a ninth grader who can go out and maybe get 20 points for you on a given night. That's not bad to have.
Definitely.
And I mentioned Dinah Neal, who's averaging probably between 15 and 20 points per contest. Good to have her output there, too.
Definitely. The growth and maturity of, Michelle, but just the senior leadership of Dinah, I love them together this year. And I've asked Dinah to do certain things where, in the past, it's just mainly been for her to be a scorer. But I've asked her to, look for some other people more often than she has. And she loves that, having that option with Michelle. It's like kind of having, I guess if you say a female Batman and Robin running together out there, and you'll notice it as they play together, they look for each other. And when one is hot, the other one is yelling for the other one, get in your spot. And I thoroughly enjoy it and love it.
You probably got to point this team, too, in the Northeast now. You probably got a few situations where you may see girls that were with teams in previous years. They're probably coming back now saying, man, I wish I'd have been here when this was going on. Well, you got something going when you start hearing from former players come back around and say, I wish we could have had it going like this. Yeah. Everybody's starting to see it probably now.
Well, and the biggest thing is something I always learned from Curtis is that, you make the game fun. And, you teach them, the way you want certain things. Because I had the luxury of watching Dinah Neal, Valerie Henderson, grow up and see them want to be, want to get over that level to
It
win.
always seemed like they had 2 or 3 players in the previous years who were trying to get them, but didn't seem to have that 5, that cohesive 5 you got to have to make the thing work correctly. Because if the ball goes a certain direction and it's not among those 3 players, then there's going to be that time you're in trouble.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing this year. We actually were 12 deep at the start. We lost one of my most valuable seniors, Ariel Ellis, early to an injury. But the one thing about it, the team has grasped onto their roles, and game in and game out. You know what Michelle, you know what Dinah's going to do, but every other game is always another one in the rotation that comes up and gives you that extra rebound or that extra basket that you need right there at one point and push you over the edge.
Did you coach women's ball or girls ball before this year?
I assisted coach in Charlotte at West Mecklenburg.
Okay.
Where I did boys for a while and switched over to the girls over there. So I had a little bit of an insight, but you don't get the full tilt till you step into the program, and it's yours.
Yeah.
You have to, really carry it
How
over.
far have they come since back, say, the first game of the season back in November? How far has this team come, you think?
It was, I'll be honest with you, Andy, at first, the expectations, sometimes people put expectations out there really too far. Like I told everyone, you have a dynamic senior like Nana. You have a great freshman like Michelle, and then you have a first-year coach coming from the boys' side. And I said, everything's got to mesh well first. That's what I tell everyone. I said, don't worry about us here in November, December. But I said, January, February, come check us out, see how we're working. And the girls just, now we bonded together in their family, and you'll see it in them going into the locker room, how they go up the halls together. It's just really a great thing to see.
And you're 11-11 overall, 8-8 in the conference. I mean, to me, that's numbers there that could bode well for a Coach of the Year candidate, turning the team around like that. You got a very tough conference. A lot of great coaches in that conference. You got Coach Wall, you got Coach Furlow, you got Coach Britton, you got Coach Cole. It's a great conference to be coaching among all those women's coaches. But, I mean, what you've done this year, and not to take anything away from the other coaches, because Coach Furlow's had a very good year with her girls at Northern, but, man, what you did there, that's got to be some consideration for definitely getting it together and bringing this thing back around.
The ironic part is, like I said, I had a chance to watch the ladies for the last 3 years, but I also had a chance to watch Coach Furlow, watching the girls' game. And like I told Coach Britton, the first time we played Eastern Guilford was, I actually watched her back when she had the girls at Dudley, and that was kind of...
Oh, boy, that was fun watching
that was kind of like I told my girls today, I said, if we could get, 75% of what that
kind
team
of a measuring
was,
stick, If anybody went in for practice, she sat with me here a couple weeks ago, we talked about that. Back watching her practices back in the day, that was an education within itself, just watching her afternoon practices over there.
Exactly,
Where did you come from? You mentioned West Mecklenburg. How did you arrive on the Northeast Guilford scene? What's your basketball background? Where did you grow up? Those type things.
I actually grew up about an hour outside of here, Montgomery County. I went to West Montgomery High School. Played for Bobby Martin down there at West Montgomery. I played 2 years. I'm not one of those stories of a high school superstar. I was more of a nerdy type of guy, but I learned the game. And one thing he loved about me was that my mindset for the game.
Student of the game.
Student of the game.
Yeah.
I attended University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and went from there and started working at West Mecklenburg High School in Charlotte. And coached there under Jim Davis and learned a lot there. The differences of what I learned from coaching with Jim Davis and Curtis was about the system, In Charlotte, you kind of get a little more freedom. When I got up here with Curtis, it was about, learning a system that works. And, and I embraced it. And, you would see me spending hours upon hours just, watching Curtis, watching their practices. And I would do the same thing in the JV boys practice. And once I got over to the girls' side, I tried to bring a little bit over there to our program.
Coach Curtis Hunter's thing is about repetition, doing it over and over again, but doing it over and over again and doing it the right way.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, you don't change it, don't try to modify it. Just keep working on your system. Work on your system. If you run your system over and over and over again, eventually you get a breakdown and then you'll get what you want out of it.
You saw some good women's basketball, I bet, done around Charlotte. Men's basketball, there's very good. Women's as well down there because No Myers Park, I think they're ranked 10th in the nation now among the top teams in the country. Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing. You get to watch it. I've always been a student of the girls' game because, with the guys' game, you have a lot of high flyers. But with the girls' game, they had to really learn the system, right places to be, and different things of that nature. And that was the thing I enjoy about the ladies here. They love it. The more I give them at times, the hungrier they get. So they're excited. It's an exciting group to work with.
Some good young talent right here too. You mentioned Michelle Jeffries of your team. You got Alyssa Canane out at Northern Guilford. Roby Kevich out at Northern Guilford. You got the Hurd sister, two little Hurd sisters at Page. You got a couple of young players, Gibbs and company out at Northwest Guilford. A lot of good young talent around here these days.
Very much so, and you have a lot of talented coaches that coach them. I think if I had to tell you one thing that was kind of overwhelming for me was just looking at the turnaround, me stepping into the the women's side and saying, wow, okay, I got to come to my A game tonight. Stay focused there. Keep the ladies, focused on what their goal is, and they really have done a great job of really keeping me even keeled at times when Coach Steele gets a little excited.
And you got Manny and McCullough and Jackson. We'll leave out those girls over at Smith. I think Smith's 0-9 in their conference, but I think that Smith team, I think they got a future ahead of them. Those two big post players. I think those kids could do something in the future over there.
And it's amazing. I know playing against East Alamance in our conference, you just love, having, post players with some size that can really, don't mind playing with their backs to the basket, And, I have a young freshman with me as well that's learning the game. And you just look at the crop of young ladies around here that understand basketball and really want to learn, and they're really growing into the programs. Greensboro's going to become a hotbed around here.
I think it's going to be a hotbed for women's basketball. Men will stay tough as well, but you look at that team at Northwest Guilford, got just a load of talent out there. Dudley's talented, Northern's talented. Those are three teams that could do some things this year.
Definitely. So, if you watched them at the HACO this year, I was thoroughly impressed with Northwest, on how even when teams would make a run at them, they just stayed focused at what they were doing. Never seemed to get shook that much at all. And
it all goes back to the point guards, don't you think? Got to have somebody runs the show. The person out front's got to be under control.
Definitely.
And who's your point guard again?
Actually, the funny part is that I get the luxury most other teams don't. I have a rotation of three. It goes through Dinah Neal, Michelle Jeffries, as well as Cameron Martin, who's a sophomore for me. And when I tell you, each one at those three guard spots can rotate through. You may see us with Dinah bringing the ball down and Michelle and Cameron on the wings, or vice versa. And you just look at it, and all can stroke the shot from outside, all love to attack the basket. It's just, when I say I stepped into a great situation, I think I truly did. And that's why I never thought about leaving Northeast. I just always wanted to make sure the programs at Northeast grow. So when this opportunity came and Coach Sharp offered me the job, the first thing I did was I called Curtis. I said, "You think I'm ready for this?" He's like, "Daryl, you ready?" And make that jump. And I just called Coach Sharp back and was like, "Okay, I'm ready." And here we are now.
It's a good thing you took that job too, because Northeast Guilford, unfortunately, has been kind of beat down a little bit the past couple of years. They needed somebody to stick around and that's why we're glad to have you in here tonight, because Northeast Guilford has been through some tough times with their teams. It's good to see things beginning to change. You get in a positive direction out there again.
It really is. The student body has really been great. Mr. Williams, our principal, has been all on board. It was just, you can see it in the girls and in their walk up and down the hallways. They're very excited to be there. They're very excited to play. The student body is just very excited. Even though the boys, right now are still growing into themselves. The one thing about it is that the student body is still excited about the team working real hard.
The student body is just looking for something to yell about, scream about, something to get involved in. They want to do something like that, because they don't like to go to the opposing team schools, and all those opposing fans are just dominating the game. They want somebody out those teams come to their place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the things it's ironic about our girls. And we had a conversation about it before the Eastern Alamance game, was that they love playing on the road. They said, because Coach, he said there's not much pressure on the road because you don't have your friends and everything else. So I don't know if I call ourselves the road killers, but we love playing on the road.
Well, that's the thing about you taking that job at Northeast. There was no pressure on you when you took that job. For the most part, people could maybe dig in and find some underlying pressure, but for you, you just kind of redefined yourself, became a women's coach, and you took the challenge, and that's the best thing, to get a hold of a team like that that's kind of being on the way back and get in there with them and build them like you have been. Yeah. Perfect situation.
Yeah, it really was. And I just looked at it as, these ladies. First conversation I had with Dinah and Valerie and Ariel and Abria and Michaela, my seniors, I said, what is it you guys want out of this season? They said, Coach, we just want to be successful. We had certain goals that we didn't attain, but I think the biggest thing was they want to be a team that can be competitive, that you just, back for the last couple of years, people look at Northeast Guilford women's and say, hey, we can.
But if you go back to the days back when Mercedes King was there, man, they were beating Dudley back in those days.
Coach Wayne Stevens.
Yeah, Wayne Stevens and his daughter Tremaine Stevens and Mercedes King. I mean, Mercedes. I mean, that's back when Northeast women. That team was on the map, man. When you go and beat a team like Dudley, and Dudley back in that day had Helen Terry, Desiree Drayton, and Brianna. They had girls like that. And
exactly.
Northeast could match up with them back then.
And that was one of the biggest things I told the ladies about it. I wish I could have this group of seniors for one more year. But I told them, that's where I want to get the program back to. Not to be, a carbon copy, but to be our own version of where, the program used to be at. And I told them once you get to that level, it makes the program more sellable to everyone else.
Where's Coach Stevens at these days? Any idea where he's at now? He was at Western Alabama.
Yes, was at Western Alabama. After that, we kind of lost track.
He's kind of like yourself. He can coach men or women. He can coach both levels.
And that's one of the things. Like I told him, I look back at the history. Where you go through max preps, or just walk down our hallways and look in the case, and you can see where the women's program. And I spoke to a lot of young ladies that played with Coach Stevenson, and they were like excited about me having a job because they watched me grow as a JV coach, and they remember how.
Well, you worked hard, because when I was watching that men's varsity game, seeing you over, I can remember you like it was yesterday. Always moving around, maybe not in the beginning, all in that circle. You were moving, grabbing stuff, moving stuff around, always active. And a coach like that, if he's got that kind of energy, he'll make something happen. You give him some talent. What about the girls? They play a lot together, play some together in the summer, all season. They playing now?
Well, what they're going to do is I have workouts. Like I said, I come from Curtis Hunter's program. We go right back into it. We'll take a couple weeks off, maybe a month off. I'll work with my seniors and see, which ones want to go and play the next level or whatever they want to do. The underclassmen know they have about a month off. Then we're right back in the weight room and everything else.
What about AAU or travel ball summer-wise? They can play there?
Some play. I really push one to play. With a program where they're going to learn.
Now, who's that young lady who used to help with the men's team? Give me her name again, real quick. It slips me right now.
Ursula
Williams. If anybody can, if they get with her, I guarantee Ursula Williams can make something happen, because that's another young person I think will do a good job coaching the school team. Because Ursula, she helped coach the men. I mean, I was always impressed by that. She's always getting out a lot of good information about her the travel team she works with.
Team Rain, I believe.
Yeah, Team Rain, right? Exactly. Yeah.
And that's one of the.
And that'd be a good thing to have too. If you kind of could put your girls in the pocket of a coach you knew already, and that type thing would work.
And that's one thing, finding good people that teach the game. That's the great part. One of the things I learned about when I got here to Greensboro from Charlotte was that the programs here are about teaching. Some are about going and playing, but there's some that really teach the X's and O's that really what you teach during your season with your kids.
Just you look at those two coaches we had here earlier, Freddie Johnson. You get in his program, you're going to definitely learn. So if you don't learn there, then you had a closed mind when you went there. And you look at Coach Bill Chambers here earlier too, and he was with us. He's from the Dean Smith program years ago, so you're going to learn when you get around coaches like that. And there are quite a few coaches like that around here.
It really is, and like I said, you learn from every coach you meet, just interactions. And I know for me, I felt really welcome coming, into coaching here in our Mid-Piedmont 3A conference, because a lot of coaches, sometimes they be, close-knit group.
Yeah,
But, I know from Chris Britton and Coach Furlow, they all welcome me with open arms, and, on a daily basis, I hear from them, like, they really appreciate me coming to the side and really trying to work with these ladies, because it does nothing but make the conference look better when teams are competitive.
And it's best to reach out to those coaches when you first take over and try to be a friend of them. If you go the other way and try to knock them all down, something will roll you over, then that sometimes goes the wrong way.
Yeah,
Don't look up any walls. You got to tear it down later.
Yeah, it's in the end of the day, it's about the young ladies and them learning the game. There's so much going on where they're competitive enough on the floor that last thing they need to see is the coaches, going at each other.
Exactly. Tournament contender. You look at your team for next week. Tournament coming up.
Yes. The biggest thing is, like I tell the ladies all this week, the biggest hurdle was the Eastern Alamance game last Friday night, to secure, our spot in the conference. I just tell them we just got to come out and play.
And you got, what, the fourth spot?
Fifth spot.
Fifth spot?
Yeah.
Now, let's see. I looked at I guess Rockingham County 1, Northern 2, and then who's 3?
I did flip flop. I thought maybe Northern flip flop and took over.
Okay.
One,
Northern's 1, and Rockingham County maybe 2.
2. Williams is 3. Eastern Guilford 4, and I think we're 5.
I got you, because you were tied with Eastern Alamance. So I gave you that fifth spot. Got you, because I knew you tied with them record-wise, but you beat them twice during the season. Advantage head-to-head. Gotcha.
And like I said, I just tell the ladies, we gotta just come out, execute our stuff. I think that's the biggest thing. We've had a close game with Eastern Guilford, and then the last time we just we didn't play well. They executed that stuff, and I forgot the young lady shot the lights out. And
could have been Williamson, could have been Patterson, could have been any of those guys. Could have been Shire too. That little girl on the outside, gets those 3-point shots.
And then,
Shears,
when she gets hot, it's like turn the lights off. She still can hit in the gym in the dark. And like I told the lady, we're gonna spend time really just not changing so much, but just getting ourselves ready.
And Eastern's got that big post player too. That freshman Harris is a pretty tough kid on the inside.
And Jazz works.
Jazz and Harris,
and that's the great part. What I said about Coach Britt. Her ladies understand their roles as well. Once you get a team that understands their roles, everything else.
So you got to stop that guard Williamson. If you don't stop her in the initial stages, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, she is one of the few girls you see get from baseline to baseline with the ball. And if you don't stop her, she's going to go toward the rim.
You think about this point guard. She's one of those, and Haley Barber at Northwest Guilford's one of those. Sydney Wilson, Northern Guilford. You got to stop Sydney Wilson.
And
she's tough.
Sydney is a definite dual threat. She'll score on you as well as dish it out and assist. So.
How about if you had to do it all over again? You do it the same exact way, because it's working out pretty good right now, but do you stay with the same plan?
I would. My background, like I tell people, a lot of people ask, like, Daryl, do you ever look out and look for jobs? I said, no, I'm one of those old school coaches that, I think my work, I speak for myself.
Yeah, so what's your selling point? Is that just who you are? Is that what sells your product?
That's who I am. Modest country upbringing, I just tell you, I'm a work hard. If you're interested in me, you'll reach out to me. But I'm one of those. I'm locked in. I'm a Northeast guy. I've been at Northeast for a while, and I'll be there till they run me out of there.
20 years from now, where do you see yourself? That gives you time to really think ahead. 20 years down the road.
20 years excited about hopefully still coaching, influencing young ladies, young men. Right now, I would love to be at Northeast for the long haul, to really take it to the next level. I would love
If you stayed there 20 years, if they allowed you to do it, you might be the dual basketball coach and AD by that time if they bring that role back.
I'm going to say this, Coach Sherry Sharp, you can have that job forever. I would not want to be an AD.
Gotcha. So if you had a photo or a snapshot of your life, your basketball life, what do we see in that photograph? Got one hanging on the wall somewhere that shows a photo of your basketball life. What do we see in that photograph?
Probably me just sitting there, just relaxing and really just looking at the some parts of everything I've done with all from over the years. The one thing about me is that I'm so blessed to have taught and coached so many great guys and young women from Charlotte to here. I just say my life is truly blessed, and I always tell the ladies, it's never about my success, it's all about their success, because at the end of the day, I said the win's about what they do on the floor, and losses always get blamed on a coach, and I always look at myself and say, it's just one thing I could have done better or called to, change the outcome of the game.
What's it going to take to win that Mid-State Conference tournament next week, to be the tournament champions?
Hard work, determination, and everyone being on the same page.
And you feel that's a possibility?
I would say the second half of the season, I would say the ladies are thoroughly engaged on what we're trying to get done, along with my coaching staff, with Coach Ellis and Coach West. We talk them all the time. One of the biggest things was that I can see the hunger in their eyes now, and the more teams, come and it's time to take you a slight thing and still the same old Northeast Lady Rams is a little bit of a mistake, because these ladies are real hungry. Seniors are hungry because this is their last go round.
You just look at the results. It's obvious the way things have changed. What happened with Coach Ramsey and people like that? They've moved on. They still at Northeast.
Coach Ramsey, her and her husband moved down to the coast.
Okay.
He had a job offer
Coach
there.
Bob?
Yeah.
They're gone. Man, how long did they leave at the beginning of the school year?
It was midway through the school year. It was kind of,
football job down that way?
That's right. I hear football job down that way.
Gotcha.
And I talked to her, and she's actually came back and seen the girls play, and I think that was a great lift for them. They loved that, and still have a great relationship.
Yeah, kids are always proud when a coach comes back that coached before and they gets a chance to see how they've improved.
Very much so.
Well, listen, keep up the excellent work.
Thank you so much,
Good to have you on
Andy.
board.
All
West
right.
Montgomery, also Charlotte,
UNC Charlotte,
UNC Charlotte.
and West Mecklenburg High
West
School.
Meck. So West Montgomery and West Meck. Both those. Got
Yep.
it. Let's get Don and Neil up next, Coach.
All right.
James Rib Shack Thursday, bringing them in and rolling through.